A 34-year-old captain in fatigue stands before a trembling nation. How did Traoré go from frontline soldier to Burkina Faso's de facto leader? In the hazy dawn of September 30, 2022, Ouagadougou awoke to an astonishing sight. The presidential palace had been stormed, and among the new faces on the podium was Ibrahim Traoré, not yet 35. The voice on the radio that morning was calm but resolute. "We have taken power," Captain Traoré announced, imposing a curfew and promising to protect the people. It felt like a scene from a movie, and yet, it was real life for Burkina Faso. Traoré had just overthrown Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba, the very colonel who himself had seized power only months earlier. How did this happen? Traoré was not a general, he was a junior officer who grew up in the barracks. His story began on dusty training grounds far from the marble halls of Ouaga. He honed his skills in a cadet school at Fayoulargeau in Chad, learning desert warfare under harsh suns and starless nights. He later fought bitterly in the north of Burkina against groups like Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb and Ansar al-Islam. Time and again he led patrols through ambush-prone savannas, pushing back insurgent cells. Those years in the field earned him a reputation among his men as a brave and determined fighter, if not always the most senior. But news from the front was bleak by 2022. Burkina Faso had replaced Mali as the Sahel's jihadist hotspot. Dozens of villages fell out of government control. Civilians were fleeing in droves. Corpses littered roadsides. The government solutions failed to stop the bloodshed. Damiba's army was floundering. Senior generals argued strategy in luxury hotels. Meanwhile, young captains like Traoré watched their colleagues die under thin camouflage nets. Rumors of frustration spread in the ranks. One story tells of officers pleading with Damiba to rethink his campaigns. When nothing changed, they quietly started looking for a different leader. Traoré emerged as their choice. He was young enough to inspire hope but seasoned enough to command respect. On the night of the coup, aides say he moved with certainty. Masked soldiers loyal to him took positions around the Kosiam Palace. Shots cracked in the darkness, but by dawn it was over. Damiba was gone and Traoré, once just Capitaine Ibrahim, to many, was now the captain of the nation. Journalists called it a palace revolution, noting how clean and orderly it happened. There was no mob of disgruntled citizens rampaging the streets, just a swift change of guards. From that moment, Traoré set about building his new regime. He rushed through the same hallways where weeks before he walked as a subordinate, now ordering key appointments. Within hours, loyalists took the chairs of defense and intelligence, ousting those seen as Damiba loyalists. Traoré appointed new ministers, some were seasoned technocrats, others fresh faces, signals that this was meant to be a fresh start. A young soldier-turned-leader wasted no time in reshaping the military hierarchy. Officers who once sneered at him now stood at attention under his command. For ordinary Burkinabe, Traoré's rise felt like a seismic shift. Many were exhausted by the ceaseless violence. In villages and neighborhoods, people whispered relief that someone had changed course. A local reporter noted widespread support for the coup, calling it a relief more than a shock. In coffee shops of Ouaga, debates broke out late into the night. Was Traoré savior or just another officer in a different fatigues? Only time would tell. By the end of 2022, at just 34 years old, Ibrahim Traoré had done what seemed impossible. He had grabbed power from the generals above him. He stood tall in the new government briefings, a symbol of a new guard. The rise of this young captain challenged decades of military tradition in Burkina. Whether he was a strongman of hope or a soldier straying from the barracks, Traoré had written his name in his country's history, and everything rested on what he would do next.